So I'd like to talk about narrative gaming, and more specifically building your own units to fit a narrative and to fit a theme. So we all know about forging a narrative, and forging a narrative mainly relating to the sort of story on the battlefield. When you sort of get to the battlefield and you start forging a narrative, but we don't really talk about forging a narrative as building your own units. It's more sort of battlefield and story focused in that way. So I'd like to sort of share my first sort of proper narrative unit, and the ideas that sort of came from it, and what I'd like to build in the future that isn't necessarily something that comes in a codex. So the first unit that I built was some Chaos Space Marines. They're Black Legion. My Chaos Space Marine army is a Black Legion army. And these guys were Night Lords, and now they're sort of incorporated in my Black Legion. I want every major legion and some renegade chapters to be included in my Black Legion, and I want it to be sort of a riot of colour. So these guys are going to be mostly Night Lords coloured, but every single one of them has lightning claws, or a lightning claw and a bolt pistol, or a plasma. They're going to be Night Lords chosen, and in the index, I don't have the Chaos Space Marine Codex at the moment. It's beyond my means to get it at the moment. My budget's only so much. It says you can have 4 specialists with up to 4 lightning claws, or whatever it is, melter guns or whatever, and then an aspiring champion. And I built 9 of them, and each of them has lightning claws. What I did was so this guy's got, it's not very well in focus, but they don't have heads. I don't give them heads yet. They're going to get heads later. I'm going to spray these a dark colour, black, and I'm going to put a head on the top that's sprayed white, so I'm going to paint it bone, and they're going to be blue and bone. So I've got some guys who have actual lightning claws built on them as lightning claws, and the others have, they don't have lightning claws. They have the claws from the Chaos Possessed box, which I thought would be, you could have some guys with lightning claws, and the ones who are sort of getting jealous of the fact that these guys have lightning claws and they don't, the warp provides, and the warp would provide sort of lightning claw-esque mutations. So that's what I did. I built some guys with actual lightning claws from the Chaos Raptor sprue, and other guys with sort of the clawy elements of the Chaos Possessed kit, which already has a story behind it, that the guys sort of got jealous and wanted to have lightning claws but didn't, so they grew them from the warp. They all have lightning claws, and it makes a really cool sort of, like, lightning claws fits the theme of Night Lords, and it fits the theme of Raven Guard as well. So you sort of, if you're building thematic miniatures, think about like the background of them and how they would work in the, not just the army, but how it would work sort of in real life almost, if it were, if it was, if they really were Night Lords. Night Lords are synonymous with terror and being in the shadows, and these guys have capes made of flesh. I'm going to paint them to look like flesh. They've got skulls on them. There's a little skull there. This guy's got, they all have bits of sort of tarpaulins, or it's going to be flesh, and some of them I gave them, it's not, you can't really see it very well. There are sort of strips of green stuff that I am going to paint to look up like bone, as if they have bits of bone adorning their armour. If you want to have some more of a look at them, you can check my Instagram, which isn't linked. I'll link it in the description, but it's, if you want to have some more looks at sort of how I went and repositioned. So this guy's leaping, and underneath his feet I gave him studded boots, so that It's not just a flat surface. It's got studs so that you can kick a baby in the face and there'd be studs on it, which would be suitably chaos, suitably night lords. But that's like an idea of how you can take the background of a faction, in this case night lords, and you can sort of build within the sort of remit of how it works in the 40,000 universe. I'm sure we've all read books that have got a cool, something happens in a book that doesn't happen in a codex. Codexes are great and they're really good for a sort of a hook to hang your army on that's a story. And you sort of use your codex to give you ideas and inspiration, but I don't use codexes anymore, as this is how my army is structured. If there's something that's in my head that's not in a codex, I will build it. I'm working on my own sort of greater demon of it would be chaos undivided, and that's not in the codex, it's in my head and I'm going to build it. So I'll show you that when it comes up. I'll show you some of my ideas. Actually, I might as well tag it into this video. Another reason why you need a notebook is that you can keep your ideas, you can write them down and you can draw up. So this is going to be my greater demon of chaos. I don't know if you remember an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Anyway, so one of the really early episodes, there was a big demon that was sort of cut up into pieces and scattered across the globe. My chaos demon is going to be like that. It's going to be bits of him across the universe, and he has to be built together. So at the moment he's got some parts of his body, but not all of them. He's got mechanical legs and mechanical sort of back and arm, but parts of his body are there and parts aren't. There's nothing in the codex that has an equivalent like that, but I'm going to make him up and he's going to be cool. So just sort of have a thing of what sort of stories you'd like to tell and what don't be held back by a codex is basically what I'm saying in this video. It's just a little musing of what I had about narrative gaming and forging a narrative. So ta-ta for now.